Hi everyone, it's Ravi, aka the Junior Explorer. I'm back with Beyond Lithium to discuss the recent news release. Now, it seems like good things happen in threes. This is my third interview with the team at Beyond. Beyond just closed a private placement of just over 3 million shares. And it seems like BY is on the verge of adding a third spodumene discovery. With that, I'd like to welcome President and CEO Allan Frame and VP of Exploration Lawrence Tsang. Welcome back, guys.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. So I'm going to jump right into this news release, and there's a lot of information to discuss. So Beyond Lithium establishes zonation at Cosgrave Lake Project, indicating proximity to potential spodumene zone. Now, a couple of highlights. Recent exploration at the Cosgrave Lake established a mineral and fractionation zonation around the recently discovered AG pluton. A grab sample of pegmatite from outside of the green muscovite zone returned 1,832 parts per million lithium and 2.77% manganese, suggesting the pegmatite is highly fractionated. The 0.39% Li2O grab sample indicates a proximity to the potential discovery of a higher grade lithium spodumene zone, and several groups of pegmatite outcrops were outlined, measuring up to 10 to 30 meters in width and over 1 kilometer in strike length. And I'm just going to read a little quote from you, Allan. The compilation of over 4,000 data points of lithology and mineralogy, 133 grab samples, including sample with elevated Li2O values, indicate the proximity to a potential high-grade lithium spodumene zone on the property. We are optimistic that we could add a third spodumene discovery to our portfolio, with all three projects being within a 100-kilometer radius. Can you talk about how excited the team is about the work that's been done to date to get where you are in Cosgrave in such a short time?
Yeah, I'm happy to answer that question, obviously from a layman's perspective, because I'm not a geologist, but Lawrence will be able to expound on the virtues of this property and the work done today far better than I. But to me, I love this Cosgrave one because from an explorer's perspective, I mean, it's so textbook, right? You're out looking around, you're looking at a bunch of rocks, you don't know what you're going to find, and lo and behold, early August, we come up with an actual new pluton. So that's an explorer's dream. You've got the plumbing system, then you have to use your wits and your knowledge to figure out, what do you do from there? Since we know that lithium is one of the most distal deposits from a pluton, you basically begin at the pluton and you work your way out. So it's a methodical process. You have to be, very technical and very professional in the way that you approach it all. So here we are. We've got the map to the treasure chest, but we just don't know, which direction it could lie in. So we began our exploration from the inside out, and now through Lawrence's work and through his schedule of events, we have actually come into the distal areas where we found lithium. So 0.39. Why is that significant? It's because it's lithium. Because we know we've gone far enough out to be into the fields. If we're hunting for elephants, we now know where they live. Now we have to continue the hunt to find where they actually are. So that's why I'm so excited about this particular one. It's a true explorer's deal. It's totally textbook. It's the most fun you can have, in my view, from an exploration perspective for lithium. And we're there. Here we are in August. We had no plutons that weren't discovered like 50 years ago or whatever to base on. And we're like I think our exploration team is doing just a knockout job. In 6 months, we've come from trying to figure out which roads to drive on in Ontario to two spodumene discoveries and Cosgrave, it's the virgin territory. I mean, this is the dream of all dreams, and it's all due to Lawrence and Graham and Paul and all the guys in the field, using their expertise to basically put it all together. So I mean, I couldn't be happier. I used to get excited laying awake at night thinking about what we accomplished in 6 months.
Mhm.
Heck, I would have been happy to, 2 years from now to tell you that we've got this stuff,
Mhm.
but here we are, but there's just no substitute for hard work and methodical work. So
Okay.
Yeah, I know I'm kind of rattling on about it, but yeah, I'm really excited about Cosgrave. This is an explorer's dream. Thank
Awesome.
you.
And Lawrence, how happy is the technical team in their systematic approach in finding a potential proximal spodumene bearing zone at Cosgrave Lake?
Oh, definitely, it's very exciting, and to just to echo what Al talked about, this is textbook exploration, and I have to here to credit Graham and Paul. They pay attention to the details in based on the field observations, and I think that's very important. Being an explorer, you pay attention to details from the changing minerals and also changing the texture in the pegmatites. That's how we identified, first of all, the AG plutons. And then when we start exploring away from the pluton, started to see that mineral zonation, which is very important because similar mineral zonations occurs at the nearby MNW lithium showings. They already found spodumene, and we have the similar, almost exact footprint of mineral zonation as theirs. So I know that we are getting very close, and to have that success from getting to the pluton, to your barrel zones, to your green muscovite, and now we're finding this 0.39 Li2O outside of the green muscovite. So with alluadite minerals showing that we have the mineral zonation, we could be just really proximal to that spodumene zones that we all want to find. So that's very exciting, textbook exploration, but we follow through a systematic and scientific approach, and also we pay attention to the details in the change in minerals and texture of the rocks that we see.
Okay. And in Figure 1, we have a map of the various discoveries and active projects in this part of Ontario. For those that are not familiar with the Georgia Lake District, it's an active and prolific lithium exploration. Maybe, Allan, can you give us a 10,000-foot overview of the region, maybe talk about some of the recent discoveries in that area? Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute, Allan.
Yeah, sorry, my apologies there. I think Lawrence is best to
Okay.
describe that because he's got more in-depth research into all of this than I do. All that I know, though, is that, it's an area that's extremely interesting. You've got Rock Tech in there. Rock Tech is actually building facilities and, pretty aggressive company, more advanced than most. And Brunswick, of course, is in the same. So, we're in the area the big boys are playing in, and there's a chance that, we'll be one of them. So I'm pretty excited about it all. But Lawrence, perhaps you can give us a little more background on why those other companies have had so much success there.
Right. So this area is very prolific. I think I would say, yeah, first of all, you have all these active exploration companies working in the same area, but at the same time, everybody will be relying on that fundamental geology, that there's this big glacier lake batholith, and then there's all these different plutons, the MNW, the Braba Lake, etc. And then that's where Tech found the Georgia Lake deposit. Imagine Lithium has their jackpot showings, and there's so many lithium known discovered showings in the area. And now when you look at Cosgrave Lake of where we are, we have a new pluton. We can basically add a new almost a showings onto our project pretty soon. So that's very exciting. That's an area with known lithium discovery, a well-established geology in the area, and with all these active exploration companies working in the area, showing that there's so much potential that to be uncovered there. So for Cosgrave to have that, for Beyond to have Cosgrave within this district, and also along with Gathering Lake, etc., I think we do have a good position in this area. We can do a lot more exploration to potentially finding the next spodumene zones.
Okay. And so in this table, we have a comparison of plutons at Cosgrave Lake and Tanco. To the naked eye, a retail investor may look at these numbers and brush them off. However, I believe there's some significance in these data points as it relates to a potential major discovery. Now, before we get into the chart, there are probably a few of the viewers who are not familiar with the Tanco story. Can either of you share a little bit of the history on the Tanco mine and its role in critical mineral production here in Canada and its presence on the world stage?
Go ahead, Lawrence.
Oh, Oh, well, thanks for putting the slide together. Yeah, Tanco is a LCT lithium mine and has over 50 years of production, and to have that significance comparison of what they have to what we could see from the basically from the source for finding LCD pegmatites, that point of view. I think that's where it comes to play in the comparison of that Tango mine versus Cosgrave Lake is about where the source. So from the Tango mine, they have the source of the lower lithium, just like our Glacier Lake batholith. And then when they have the pluton, where's the pluton coming from the source? And that's where we are also comparing to that AG pluton composition. And when you look at them, you transition from your batholith to the pluton, then eventually to your different minerals composition of the pegmatites. That's where you start gaining your elevating your lithium. So that's where we see that, okay, we do have the Glacier Lake batholith in our area compared to the Tanco source. Is that in the 20 range, ppm range of lithium. And then when you get to your Tanco pluton, it's about 57. And then our AG pluton, we're averaging about 60 as well. We have the maximum of 126 and minimum of 34. So you're looking at that 60, 70 lithium ppm. So that shows that the lithium content and the volatiles composition within our source are very similar to Tanco, which indirectly or implies that our pluton would have that potential volatile enrichment that could generate that end member, which is the lithium, the distal member that we want to see. So that's very important because now we understand the source does have enough sufficient of that volatiles to generate that end member. If it's too small, then yeah, what we found may not even have any economic impact or implication. But now we know the source has that potential to generate any economical pegmatites down the road.
Okay. And in this figure, we have the chemical fractionation from source to pegmatite of the Tanco deposit. Can you walk us through what is happening in the concentration of the minerals as we go from source to granite pluton and then to the Tanco pegmatite?
Yes, and that's what you need because the from the source to pluton to the pegmatites, and lithium is the more the incompatible elements in fluid, which means it would most of the time stay in the fluid, that it would not precipitate in the early stage. So it doesn't really come out at the early phase at the source of the pluton, but that's what you need to really concentrate that lithium so that when you get to the distal member, which is the Tanco pegmatite, that's where you see that 3,000 ppm lithium, and that's what we are seeing from our Cosgrave Lake. Yeah, we do have our source at the Glacier Lake batholith around in the 20 lithium, in our AG pluton sitting at 60, 70 lithium, and now we're getting to that away from that, we're getting to this 0.39, close to 2,000 lithium. So we are seeing the similar zonation in minerals, in lithium grade content zonation, and also fractionation trend zonation as well. So that's what we want to demonstrate, the comparison between Tanco or even different projects, different like the MNW pegmatites around. We have the similar zonation to the MNW in minerals and composition chemistry background like the Tanco deposit as well.
Okay. Now, in the next set of slides, it's meant to guide the viewers through some of the data as well as the mapping and explain the zonation and exploration trend at Cosgrave Lake. Can you explain how the 4,000 data points on this map help to define the AG pluton and also set the stage for what is in the next slide, the outlining of the zonation?
Yeah, and I think one of the things is 4,000 points. We actually, that's quite a bit, and we really want to show it. That's the way for us to explore, and that's our exploration techniques and fundamental. We take our time once after we recognize the AG pluton. We take our time to slowly, what do we see just outside of it? Is it because we never know where would that potential spodumene zones could be. It could be close to it, it could be further away from it. For us to really know to vectors our next exploration program, the importance of it is to understand how wide would which zonation could be, and that would eventually project how far we need to continue to explore. And that's why we started around the AG pluton and slowly just systematically, grid by grid, just going to the northeast side. We understand that could be the regional control based on the subprovince boundary orientation, and that's why we continue to explore that way. And that's where we have success to start seeing the mineral zonation and fractionation zonation.
Okay. So the Beyond technical team has been able to delineate a mineral zonation around the AG pluton. Can you explain each of these zones, starting from the AG pluton and how it connects to the Beryl zone, green muscovite zone, and then ultimately the observed pegmatite zones on the map?
Right. So the AG pluton is where we first started for exploration, and that's where we noticed the change in your textural composition and textural difference from your glacial lake batholith to the AG pluton, and that's how we found it. And then we started seeing that pegmatitic texture away from the AG plutons. That's where we have the border zones, and now after that we start seeing all these really large barrel crystals in clusters around those pegmatites. And then after that, we started to see the change in your muscovite color into more in the green muscovite zones. And now we know that based on basically LCD pegmatite mineral zonation deposit model, and that's what we want to see. That's the change and the zonation of that. And that also agrees with our vectorings for exploration we established in the early season is we follow that northeast southwest orientation, and we picked that orientation to start with, and we have success, so we're going to continue with that. And I think this is one of the key points I want to bring across is that this is still early stage, but we do have success getting close to a potential spodumene zones, but at the same time to the southwest of the pluton is as prospective as to the northeast. We just haven't had the time to explore that way at this time yet, but we're going to have more planning to explore that way in the next field program.
Okay. And were these pegmatites discovered through satellite imagery, geological maps, or just kind of good old-fashioned boots on the ground?
Good old-fashioned boots on the ground. And it's good to have desktop study and satellite image. It gives you a starting point. Okay, where do we start in such a large project? So that's the starting point. But afterwards, it's all boots on the ground, and all the 4,000 points is credit to the field team. They spend the time to really follow through that systematic grid transfers to cover the area.
Okay. Now in this chart, it's actually quite interesting to me because I'm starting to see a junior or two use the ratios between potassium, cesium, rubidium as a tool to display fractionation trend or the relative degree of evolution of S-type granites. Can you discuss each level of the fractionation trend related to ratios and maybe talk the potassium and the rubidium ratio numbers that may suggest it being proximal to a potential spodumene zone? And I might flip back and forth to the next slide as they're kind of connected to each other.
Right. So Ruby. So if I just put it in a very simple way, when you get closer to your to the really highest fractionation areas where you're getting higher rubidium and cesium. So, but we want to have a kind of like a correlation with the potassium as well. So it's a good factors for us to use. And so we plot up the relationship between potassium cesium versus potassium rubidium. And it's very simple that when you look at higher rubidium cesium, that will put you into the lower left corner as the highest degree of fractionations. And usually around 30 KRB ratios will be saying that you are at the highest degree of fractionations. And where we have the average of that is about 36. And that's where we know, okay, those samples would be closer to the potential spodumene zones. And from that plot, I just highlight all the high samples, higher fractionation samples, and then plot them on the map between high, medium, and low. And when I plot of the maps, cluster of high, cluster of medium, and cluster of low fractionated samples, they follow that mineral zonation as well. Around the AG pluton, you have the lower fractionated samples, and then you go to the barrel, green Muscovy zone having the medium, and then outside of that, we started getting to higher fractionated numbers. So I think the key point is lithium is what we're looking for, but at the same time, we are using other chemistry or elements as a proxy or indicator elements of minerals to guide us to really get to the stronger part of the system where most of the lithium will be concentrated in, and that's what we are trying to do here, and that basically create more exploration targets for us for the next program. And then and I think it's pretty neat. We are seeing a couple other moderately fractionated samples further to the northeast as well. I think those are good targets we're going to follow up on in the next program.
Okay. The image to the left lays out the fractionation trend model and the progression from the parental granite of each zone and ultimately to an exploration target of potential spodumene. Can you discuss each level of the fractionation trend and how this might be used to zero in on those high priority targets?
Yeah, for sure. So I think this is kind of like a explanation of what we're gonna do next based on the last two maps that we put together. So we've done the fractionation trend product graph, and then we plotted those data onto a map to create the zonation of the low, medium, and high fractionated area. And then so when we put them onto a generic LCT deposit model, that's where we have we have the parental granite, the glacial lake batholith, and then we moved it to the AG pluton, that's fertile plutons, and then we moved it into the barrel zones, number 3 in the area, and then we moved it to the 4, which is where we're finding this 0.39% Li2O pegmatite outside of the green Muscovy zone. So that's the zonation, and that's telling us, okay, now the zonation points you that way, and based on the LCD generic models, after you have the 4 in the 5th, the area will be where you have that potential spodumene zone. So that's area we have key in. Okay, that's the area we're going to continue to focus on, and we're going to continue to follow that vectoring, and also it aligns with that overall structural orientation as well. So that gives us a good confidence and good planning for the next program.
Okay. This map shows the northeast zone in relation to the exploration trend and the AG pluton. I see, 3 to 4 clusters of things kind of going on in this exploration trend. Before we get into the what are the next steps in filling the gaps in between each of these, in my initial research in this whole lithium space and kind of understanding where to find it, it was mentioned in an Australian Geological Survey paper that lithium discoveries tend or may lie within a 15-kilometer of the subprovince boundary. And in many cases, it might lie within a kilometer or 2. What is your understanding of the relationship to the subprovince boundary and potential lithium discoveries?
It's regionally is important because if you look at other area like in the Seymour Lake area or in the Frontier Lithium Park and Spark of the Bearhead contact structures, or so these are important structures where you could be finding that, because you need that deep for structures to potentially get that fluid pathway to get all this to create all this baffling or the pluton. So that's where you want to be around, and that's where Cosgrave also have this subprovince boundary nearby, and that's where we use it as a guide for us to guide our exploration orientation, and that's why. And when we've started to measuring some of the pegmatite orientation, they usually run subparallel or just slightly oblique to it. and that's where we're going to continue to see that. And the mineral zonation and the fractionation trend also has a little bit of, from that control as well. So that's very important, I think, from a regional perspective. And when we close into key into exploration on our project scales, I think pretty soon we're going to start seeing some more local trend that will add to our exploration toolbox.
Okay, and I bring up the Subprovince Boundary, for the viewers, because I've actually asked some companies directly to kind of show me on their projects where these are in relationship to their projects, and for the most part, they've brushed me off. So I want to kind of thank you and the team for that transparency and actually including on a map, because for me, it's kind of part of the evaluation, kind of the additional information that helps kind of make my decision in these lithium companies. So before I wrap up, what are the next steps at Cosgrave, and what can we see in terms of exploration on this project in the first half of 2024?
Al, do you want to go touch base on that, or?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. Firstly, I think this video that we're doing with you here, thanks to you, will provide a proper exploration or explanation for how to explore from square one.
Mhm.
It's a methodical, professional process, and it just simply takes time. So we're still concentrating on 2023. We're not done yet. We've got, and I quote here, we're awaiting assay results from over 450 rock and channel samples, 50% of which come from Victory and near-fault spodumene projects, and 240 drill core samples. So we're not done with 2023. So it's somewhat challenging for us to project into 2024. Well, we've got all this coming up because, of course, the whole reason for this year's project, which Lawrence outlined, was to identify which projects have more potential than others, so we can create a plan for 2024. Obviously, the spodumene projects we would like to drill, but that's a process that we have to go through. So with some certainty, we can say that the permits to drill those two projects will be in place by the end of 2024. I can't tell you when the government will allow us to or accept our permits so that we can actually do that. But it's a process we're going to go through. But right now, we're focusing on 2023 because the good part's yet to come. We're waiting for the results. And once all that's together, that will allow Lawrence to put all of these data points together and get a clearer understanding of what we should do. And remember, we're talking 3 dynamic projects, right? Air Falls, Victory, and Cosgrave. What about the other 18? A lot of them have already made the cut. We're not talking about them because these ones are like right in your face, really, really good and really exciting. But we like them all. So we've got so much work to do. But until we have all of our data compiled and Lawrence has enough time to give it a thorough go over, we don't know what we're going to do in 24. But I will tell you, it's going to be hot and heavy no matter what, because we're just, I think, one of the most fortunate junior explorers in Canada right now. We've hit it spades here in six months. So I think our shareholders should be very excited about the future, and all things in due course. When we're able to tell them more about our definitive plans, we will. But in the meantime, hopefully they'll understand the methodology that Lawrence is employing in our exploration throughout our projects. And I'm happy that they're shareholders of ours, and they should be really happy too, because this company's just had a wonderful 6 months, and we're not done for 2023. So that's my comment on your question.
Okay. Well, Allan, Lawrence, I want to thank you for walking me through and the viewers through this recent news release and explaining in detail the technical work done so far in this very exciting Cosgrave project. It seems to me Beyond is on the verge of adding a 3rd spodumene discovery to its project portfolio. So guys, I appreciate it, and I look forward to chatting again soon. This is the Junior Explorer signing off.
Thanks, Robbie.
Thank you.
Thank you.